Okay, good morning everyone, and today is Thursday, the 5th day of Elul, and don't forget, we're going to remember to say the extra chapters of Tehillim we say for today, which is chapters 13, 14, and 15. You can see the Psalms in the link in the description. And today we begin letter 12 in Igeret הקודש, the holy letters in the Tanya. And yes, yesterday we had a very heavy, complicated chapter. This letter is a much lighter one. And the topic, as you may have guessed, is charity. Giving tzedakah. Once again, Alter Rebbe goes from a different angle about the importance of tzedakah. So in general, it's a good thing, when you join the shir to give a few pennies in tzedakah. You have a tzedakah pushkin and give just a few pennies. If you don't have a tzedakah pushkin, you could take even a cup, a plate, and put in tzedakah. And that's a general good thing to do. So we begin letter 12, and we're going to start reading from inside, and then we'll explain. The Alter Rebbe begins with a verse that it says in the prophet Isaiah. It says as follows: V'hoya ma'aseh hatzedakah shalom, v'avodas hatzedakah hashkeit uvetach ad olam. And the reward for the act of tzedakah will be peace, and the reward for the service of tzedakah will be quietness and surety forever. Quietness, security, forever. Okay? So this is the verse in Isaiah. When you read this verse, some commentators say that this is just, a poetic way of saying things. Seems to be saying the same thing. It's talking about the acts of tzedakah, and it's talking about the service of tzedakah. And it's talking about the rewards. What is the reward for the act of tzedakah? The reward for the acts of tzedakah will be peace. And the rewards for the service of tzedakah will be quietness and surety. Sounds like peace to me, right? Forever. So it seems like they're saying the same thing, just repeating using different words in a poetic way. However, other commentators, the Targum Yonason, they write that really there is a difference, that the Torah is not just being repetitive, using poetic words, but there is a difference between the acts of tzedakah, and there's a difference between the service of tzedakah. And there is also the difference between the peace and quietness and surety. And Alter Rebbe is going to explain the difference in this chapter. What is the act of tzedakah? What is the service of tzedakah? And what is the meaning of peace? And why is peace a reward for acts of tzedakah? And why is hashkeit uvetach, quietness and surety, a reward for service of tzedakah? So let's begin. We're not going to have everything. Today we're only beginning the first part. Alter Rebbe is going to explain what is peace. Says Alter Rebbe, the difference, we need to understand the difference between the acts and service of tzedakah, and the difference between the reward of peace and quietness and surety. So this will be understood based on the following. So the Alter Rebbe begins, Al pi masher omru razal al posuk oise shalom b'mreimav. This will be based by first what our sages of blessed memory said on the verse, he makes peace in his high place. That's a verse from Job. In Eov, it says, Hamshil v'fachad imoy oise shalom b'mreimav. This is the rulership and there is dread with him, and he makes peace in his place up high. We know, familiar with that verse. We say it by prayer, we say it by when we say the blessing after the meal. We say it in the song, Ahaseh Shalom Bimromav, the one who makes peace above. And this is something we need to understand. What does it mean? God makes peace above? Is there fights? Is there arguments? Is there parties? Is there politicians? Is there right wing, the left wing? Is there Democrats and Republicans? What's going on? Why do we need to make peace above in heaven? Angels? Says the Alter Rebbe, Ki Michael sar shel mayim, veGavriel sar shel eish, ve'ein mechabim ze es ze. It says Michael. There is an angel called the angel Michael. He is the prince of water. There is an angel called the angel Gabriel. He is the prince of fire. And yet they do not extinguish one another. Now, what does it mean when we're saying there is an angel of water, angel of fire? The Maimonides talks about the makeup of us humans. We are made of 4 elements: fire, water, air, and earth. But the angels, the Rambam explains that they're made of different elements. They don't have all of the elements. They're more lighter entities. But that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the angels of fire, angels of water in that sense. But the Alter Rebbe is going to explain what that water represents the attribute of chesed, the attribute of giving. Just like water flows down non-stop, keeps flowing. And the angel of fire, Gabriel, represents the attribute of gevura. Gevura means restriction, which means judgment, not giving to each and everyone just without limits, but measuring exactly what is being given. Just like you have nature, some people like to give without limit. Others like to restrict, to see whether the person deserves it or doesn't deserve it. Those are the 2 angels that represent those 2 attributes. And the Medrash tells us that these 2 angels, the angel of water and the angel of fire, they do not extinguish one another. There's an interesting Medrash here that says that, talking about this verse, it says, Am shel v'fachad imay, oise sholem b'moimav. It says, Rabbi Levi says, Ein echad min ha'mazolos halolu. It's actually connected with this week's Torah portion. He says it based on this week's Torah portion. It says, Ki sikra vel ir, when you get close to a city to fight a war, it says, the Torah says you have to start with offering peace. Always to make peace. And it says, so the Medrash says, Hamshav v'fachad imoy oise sholem b'moimav. There's rulership, there's dread with him, he makes peace above. And Rabbi Levi says that those constellations that they go in the sky, none of them see whatever happens in front, it only sees the back. It says, just like a person who climbs up a ladder and he faces down. Just like a person who goes down a ladder. And and it faces up. It says, Kadesh she'ye'eh kol mazel mazel oimer aniyu rishon. So that each mazel, each constellation should say that I am first. This is how Hashem makes peace up in heaven. Okay, not going to go into this now. What we're quoting is this. Resh Lakish says, Michael kulei sheleg. The angel Michael is snow. The Gavriel kulam eish. And Gabriel is entirely fire. And they stand next to each other, and they don't harm each other. And Abba Kapara says, if those angels above, that they don't have any jealousy among them, no competition, they need peace. How much more do we need peace? In any case, that's what the Medrash tells us about this. And this is the story that is known regarding the story in Egypt, when Hashem brought the plagues upon the Egyptians. One of the plagues was the plague of the hail. And our sages tell us, what was the hail? Hail was not just was storming hail, what we know, what we are familiar with, frozen water, but it was actually hail with fire within each cube of ice, had fire in it. And this was something that Hashem decided to make upon the Egyptians, to give something, not just a regular hail, to give the hail with fire together. How do you put fire and water together? Because Hashem made peace between the fire and the water, and made them work together. The fire and the water. And says the Alter Rebbe goes on and says, Kaleima shemichoel sar shel chesed. Michael is the prince of chesed, the kindness, the giving, and anikra b'shem mayim. This is referred to as water. Because it descends from a high place to a low place. Vehu b'chinas hashpoe v'ispashtus achayos me'olam esalyenim etachtonim. In the spiritual terms, this descent means the bestowal and diffusion of the divine life force from the higher to the lower worlds. This is represented in the angel Michael, the giving, the flowing. B'chinas eish shetiva lales lemaila, the fire, whose nature is to soar up high. This, the thrust of Gevura, severity, and the upward withdrawal of the flow of life force. That is the nature of the Gevura, the nature of the severity. Just like the nature of the fire is to go up, the nature of the Gevura is not to give unless it is contracted and fitted to how much the person deserves and is able to contain. In order not to bestow it except by way of an intense and immense contraction. Now these attributes are in conflict. Chesed representing unlimited effusion and giving, and Gevura representing limitation and contraction. V'hainu, but only when is this? Kashem bebchinas midas levado. This is only when they are in their pristine state of attributes. What does it mean? Inasmuch as the attributes are inherently limited, and indeed the very word of midah means the attribute, also means midah means a measure. But each of them is confined to its innate characteristic. Chesed is expansiveness, Gevura is withdrawal. So these are These are what is represented in these two types of angels. There's the angels that are completely fire, completely restricting, angels that are completely giving chesed. And the way those angels work is that each one is fully working on their way, on their line. It's not like human beings. A human being is a complex creation. Within us, we have all types of attributes. We can do many, many things together. For example, it says the angels that God sent to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Remember the story. So the Torah says there was two angels came there. One of them was to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and the other one was to save Lot and his family. And the question is, why do you need two angels? Why can't you send the same angel? Why can't multitask? The angels, they're spiritual beings. They should be able to do more than we can do. Us humans, we are able to multitask. Okay, maybe men not much, but at least the ladies can do it. So in any case, the question is, why are the angels in that way? And the answer is because what is an angel? An angel is an expression, the epitome of a certain mission of Hashem. There's the angel, as our sages say, two angels don't do one mission. Or, I'm sorry, one angel doesn't do two missions. The angel is an expression of what this attribute is. So if the angel of Michael is completely about the attribute of giving, and therefore when it comes the angel of Gevura, which is the attribute of restricting, so you have the angel of, for example, in the story, the angel of the restrictive angel, the angel of judgment was the one to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And in order to save Lot, you need a whole different attribute. And that's why you need a whole different angel. Angel of kindness, angel of compassion that takes Lot and saves him from this place. And here's the thing. When you have these two angels that are coming together, how do you put them together? How do they work that they do not harm each other, that they do not extinguish, the water doesn't extinguish the fire, or the fire doesn't consume the water completely? How can these two things work together? This is only Hashem can make. Oise Shalom Bimraim. God is the one who makes the peace between these two attributes. How? That come back tomorrow. And we'll learn tomorrow the continuation of this chapter. Thank you so much for joining, and we shall see you tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem.